I'm talking to Sean Rigsby of the Rigsby Search Group, and Sean, it's a pleasure to finally talk to you. I've known of you for a long time.
Well, Bill, thank you, and you still called me, so I really appreciate that. So thank you.
You know, you focus on the environmental area from a recruiting perspective, but I wonder if you take a moment and kind of introduce yourself to our audience, and also at the same point, give us that, I guess that what I call that 20,000 foot view of who you are and where you've been and where you're at, and we'll kind of take it from that point.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bill, once again, I appreciate the time. I kind of fell into recruiting. I was in actually the office equipment industry, and I did sales and service of office equipment. So I don't know how deep you researched me, but I was probably the world's worst copier repairman on the planet, and there was no machine in Connecticut that was safe for me. But the funny thing is customers loved me. And so that kind of got me thinking, maybe I had some, decent customer rapport. And then I was in that industry for about 7 years and got laid off. And then I started looking for work, and I knew I wanted to get into sales. And actually, I got hired by a company in Hartford called RJS Associates, and I think they're still the largest privately held search firm in Connecticut. And they hired me, and I got trained as a recruiter. One of the reasons why I wanted to go there is they really stressed training and all that. And I still have friends over there, and I was there for 19 years. And I got hired, and because I have an electronics background, so it makes all the sense in the world. I do environmental now. I did electronics and manufacturing for probably about 2 months, and then all of a sudden they asked me to go, hey, how would you like to do environmental work? And I said, yeah, that sounds great. Emerging market. Bill, I didn't even know how to spell environmental. And all of a sudden the next day, I go to my boss, okay, where do we go? He goes, well, I need you to, you know how it is when you're a rookie, you're going to do anything and stuff, and you're young and hungry and all that. But we had no clients. We had no candidates. Actually, my company never did environmental work. They just heard, hey, it could be a hot market. And so I was like, oh God, what did I do? But it was probably the best thing that ever happened, because I think if I had more experience, I might have said, oh my God, you know how sometimes we talk about rookies and experienced people and you don't know any better, or ignorance is bliss? It was actually probably the best thing. And we didn't have computers then, so I was spending every lunch hour going to the library. Back then we didn't have computers, and we'd get the papers and see who was hiring and what type of jobs there were. And then, I started going, okay, where do environmental people hang out? Found some associations, got active in them. Things worked out, obviously. I was there for 19 years, 10 years, they made me a partner. And I was there for 19 years, and when I left my former company to start my own company, I was one of the top 3 highest producing recruiters in the history of the company. And I had left the company and negotiated a separation of my non-compete to start my own company. And it'll be 4 years next month.
Excellent. That's a daring move to make when you're doing so well. It must be hard at times.
Yeah, my wife was a little reluctant, I'll be honest with you, but I was able to sell her on that.
Now, the business you have today, Sean, is it you yourself? Do you have people working with you in support or recruiting, or how does your office look?
Well, we're set up. There were 4 people, including myself, and I am the main recruiter or rainmaker. I know that's a term we use in our industry a lot. I have a woman who works for me who has been with me for about 13 years. She was at my former company, and she handles all our administrative and back office, and does all that behind the scenes stuff. So on Monday through Friday, I can be a recruiter. Then I have another person who works for me who does recruiting, and he only does recruiting. He doesn't do full desk, as we call it. He just really feels more comfortable from a recruiting standpoint. And honestly, Bill, I'm fine by that because I'm pretty good at marketing and building relationships with firms. We probably work right now with anywhere between 20 to 26 different firms across the country. And so at this time, I really don't need them to do a lot of marketing because we have a lot of work going on. And then I have a woman who works for me who does our research, but also I'm a big believer in social media and branding and all that. And she does a lot of that for us.
So if I understand correctly, Sean, you're managing most of the account relationships.
Yes.
You have another recruiter who backstops you in that and also markets for new opportunities and companies and clients. And I would assume, does he get involved in any recruiting of candidates as well?
He's doing, actually, he's doing predominantly, almost exclusively recruiting. He's not doing too much marketing. He's really wants to just focus on recruiting. And he was very honest when we were interviewing him, and he's been with me for about 6-7 months now, and he's done really well. But you know, I think, you know, I'm small enough where I can kind of mold positions around individuals, and I'm a big believer in working around individual strengths, and we can afford that, so I have him just doing strictly recruiting, and I do the full desk. I do the marketing. I do a lot of recruiting, mainly the more senior level positions. But yeah, that's what he's doing for me right now.
So if I was giving you some of the definitions and labels that are used today, I might call him a sourcer as much as a recruiter?
Yes, that would be a very similar term, yes.
Okay, and then you've got somebody that's managing your social media experience, as well as, I'm assuming, does some recruiting or sourcing?
Does a little bit of sourcing, and I was away, the past week and a half, and I had put together a plan for her in regards to sourcing and all that, and actually today was my first day back in the office, and she was able to find 8 really good candidates that I think we can work with and go out to market with that I think are pretty good fits for some of our clients' needs and so forth.
So you also proactively market candidates with unique skills and profiles and fits?
Absolutely. About a third of our placements last year resulted in what we call marketing an MPC, or most placeable candidate. And so about a third of our placements last year were that. And I have 2 offers out right now with individuals, 2 fairly senior level individuals where we were marketing them out to market.
The model you're describing is a model I'm hearing more and more about from different recruiters, particularly people that are having success. I know you're an active member of the Pinnacle Society, which represents probably some of the top 2% recruiters in the United States, and which is I admire you and congratulate you on that. That's a really it's an opportunity to not only grow and learn, but also to I guess give that stamp of success, which is good. And congratulations. But as you interact with other Pinnacle members and you interact with other industry participants, do you find what you're doing is kind of the norm or different?
In regards to Pinnacle members, I would say a lot of us are really kind of working along those plans. We're really big on branding. We just had a Pinnacle meeting in Arizona earlier in the month, and we were talking about, a number of us were talking about the branding and the social media. Another Pinnacle member, a guy named Michael Petrak, who is someone who's very good on that as well. He had done a presentation on that, which I thought was very, very good, in regards to particularly with LinkedIn and such. But yeah, a lot of us on the Pinnacle Society are kind of have similar philosophies on that.
If you sit down and kind of look in that crystal ball down the road, a year, 2 years, 5 years, do you see any changes evolving, or are you anticipating any changes you plan on taking advantage of?
Are we talking technology, or are we talking about sourcing? Where are you looking
your
at
business? I think all the parts, all the moving parts and pieces. The technology, there'll be new things happening, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But how do you see that all kind of coming together from your strategy standpoint? Are you going to be more of a texting company, or more of a traditional email company, or more of a telephone-based interactive company? How do you see that all evolving?
Probably a little bit of all of that. And let me explain. I think first off is this is a relationship business. I don't have to tell you that. It's not like where before we could say, we have all the names, and all these individuals and talk with the client. We have a deep bench, a database, with the different technologies out there right now. It's, you go on LinkedIn and get a gazillion names and so forth. And, it's really going back to building a relationship. I had filled a position last year with one of my clients, and they have the LinkedIn program with, the biggest package it offers. And they had a position they were having a really tough time trying to fill, and they were looking, and they gave it to us, and they had it open, and they were trying to fill it on their own 6 to 8 months. We filled it within 5 weeks.
Wow.
And they even, forwarded me the names they had contacted, but actually I found someone that, they didn't even know of. And that person was, out there on social media as well. It's so I mean, it's a relationship business. I mean, what I'll do, and I'll explain, I'm calling people. This is still a phone business. I firmly believe that. We're paid to deliver candidates, as Danny Cahill would say. That's our job, is to go out, finding an individual. And here's where I think a lot of recruiters have a tough time with this, Bill, is, where you see really good recruiters and okay recruiters, is I think you have to put in the best interest of the person you're talking to. Whether it's a client, whether I'm talking to a client or a candidate, I want that person to feel that they're the only person I'm dealing with, and they're the most important person I'm dealing with. And I always I always say to my team and other people, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the person you're talking to and finding out really, really, really what's most important to them and how we can help them. And that kind of thing. I use the word partnering a lot. And so, yeah, this is a phone business, and we have to be making phone calls. But sorry for the long-winded answer here, but, I will call you, say you're a candidate, I'm reaching out to you, say I was referred to you by, Mike Goldman, and, I'll leave you a brief message going, hey, Bill, was speaking with Mike Goldman, had nothing but great things to say. I was hoping I could borrow 5 minutes of your time. Mike strongly suggested I give you a call. And then I will send you an email, and I'll even say in the message, I go, I'm very familiar with your company. I have your email here. I'm going to drop you a quick email because I'm sure you get a lot of calls like this. And then I have an email template that's called follow up on voicemail, and it has just very brief intro on myself. It has a brochure on my company, and it has a little bit of a bio on myself. So when you get that, I'm not such a stranger. So, and it has recommendations on that as well. And then I'll send a text, and then I'll go, hey, excuse me, Bill, just following up on the email. And I've had people call me back and all of a sudden say, wow, you really wanted to get a hold of me. I go, hey, everyone's different. I'm not sure if you're more of a text person, whether you're more of a voicemail person, so everyone has different hot buttons on how they like to be contacted. So I figure I like to contact, figure I'd throw them all out there.
Well, I tell you what's really interesting as you're talking, Sean, I'm thinking back, and it's like everything old is new again, because what you're describing is a traditional way of what I cut my teeth on in recruiting 28 years ago. It's script your calls, have a plan, get on the phone, make a call and build a relationship, make a relationship before you make a sale, same kind of a thing. And so everything old is kind of new, and what you're doing, and what I hear you saying, is you're doing a traditional recruiting way with modern and up-to-date tools and a different strategy as far as the way your organization, your office is focused and works. And it's working, and obviously it's working. You're very successful, you're doing good business, you're growing. Any week you can eat lunch every day of the week is a good week, and you're having those weeks. So I think you're doing a great job, and I mean that sincerely. It's been a pleasure talking to you. You've kind of reinforced my hopes for the recruiting industry, It's a great business, and I hear the naysayers saying recruiting is dead, and I say, well, open up your eyes because it's still alive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great business. I'm so thankful I was able to get into this business. It's been a tremendous thing for myself personally, but also my family.
Well, thank you, Sean. I appreciate the time.
I appreciate it, Bill. Thank you again. I really appreciated the opportunity to speak with you, and it was great talking with you and getting to know you.